new styles, everyday finds, one place. Welcome to Shack Shop, your go-to online store for women's fashion and must-have essentials. From trendy outfits to lifestyle items you didn't know you needed, it's all here. Easy shopping, great prices, new arrivals dropping often. Shop smarter. Shop Shack Shop. Visit us online today.
Leida Margaretha, a former cast member of TLC's 90-Day Fiancé and one of the franchise's most controversial figures, is facing a sweeping criminal case in Wisconsin that includes 24 felony charges, according to state court records. Prosecutors allege that Margaretha engaged in a prolonged pattern of criminal conduct involving fraud, forged documents, theft from a business, and repeated violations of court-ordered bail conditions. The charges, filed by Wisconsin authorities, represent the most serious legal jeopardy Margaretha has faced to date and mark the latest development in a years-long series of criminal cases involving the reality television alum. While Margaretha has not been arrested on the newest set of charges as of the most recent reporting, she is scheduled to appear in court on February 18th, when the case is expected to formally move forward. Margaretha is presumed innocent of all charges unless and until proven guilty in a court of law, a broad and unusual criminal filing. According to publicly accessible online court records, prosecutors have charged Margaretha with the following offenses: 7 felony counts of bail jumping, 6 felony counts of wire fraud, 10 felony counts of forgery, 1 felony count of theft from a business involving property valued between $10,000 and $100,000. Prosecutors allege the offenses occurred between November 2023 and March 2024, a period during which Margaretha was already facing other criminal matters. Legal experts note that the combination of financial crimes and bail-related violations is particularly serious, as it suggests alleged misconduct while under active court supervision. The number of charges alone places the case outside the norm for a single defendant, particularly one without a prior history of large-scale commercial crime. If the allegations are substantiated, the charges could expose Margaretha to significant prison time under Wisconsin law. Understanding the alleged crimes. While prosecutors have not yet publicly released a detailed narrative of the alleged conduct, the structure of the charges provides insight into how the state views the case. Wire fraud. Wire fraud charges generally allege that a defendant used electronic communications, such as email, phone calls, or digital payment systems, to carry out a scheme intended to deceive another party for financial gain. These cases often involve misrepresentations, false pretenses, or the concealment of material facts. In Margaretha's case, 6 separate counts of wire fraud suggest that prosecutors believe multiple electronic transactions or communications were used to further the alleged scheme. Forgery. The 10 forgery counts indicate allegations that documents were falsified, altered, or executed without proper authorization. Forgery cases can involve signatures, financial records, contracts, or business documents presented as legitimate when they are not. When forgery is charged alongside wire fraud, prosecutors typically argue that false documentation was a key component of the alleged financial misconduct. Theft from a business. One charge accuses Margaretha of stealing between $10,000 and $100,000 from a business. Under Wisconsin law, theft at that level constitutes a felony and can carry severe penalties if proven. Court records do not yet identify the business involved or specify how the alleged theft occurred, but the charge's inclusion alongside fraud and forgery suggests the state believes the loss resulted from deceptive or fraudulent activity rather than a simple dispute. Bail jumping and court compliance. Perhaps the most consequential aspect of the case is the inclusion of 7 felony bail jumping charges. Bail jumping occurs when a defendant knowingly violates the conditions of release while facing criminal charges. Those conditions can include restrictions on financial activity, travel limitations, reporting requirements, or prohibitions on certain forms of conduct. Repeated violations are often viewed by courts as an indicator that a defendant is willing or unable to comply with judicial orders. Legal analysts note that bail jumping charges can significantly affect how a judge approaches future bond decisions, including whether a defendant is allowed to remain free while a case is pending. Not her first encounter with the legal system. The newly filed charges are not Margaretha's first felony cases in Wisconsin. Court records show a pattern of legal trouble dating back several years. In September 2025, Wisconsin authorities filed 2 felony counts of identity theft against Margaretha. 2 months earlier, in July 2025, she was charged with an additional count of bail jumping. In January 2024, Margaretha faced charges related to mistreatment of animals, domestic abuse, and bail jumping, further expanding her legal exposure. She was also arrested in 2025 for bail jumping in a separate case. Taken together, the record reflects a defendant who has repeatedly found herself entangled with the criminal justice system, often while still under court supervision from prior cases. February court date looms. As of the most recent reporting, Margaretha has not been taken into custody on the newest charges. She is scheduled to appear in court on February 18th, when prosecutors are expected to formally present the case and the court will address arraignment matters. Given Margaretha's history of bail-related violations, legal experts say it is possible the court could impose stricter release conditions or consider pretrial detention depending on how proceedings unfold. Neither Margaretha nor the prosecuting attorney has publicly commented on the case. Media inquiries seeking statements from both parties have not received responses. From reality television to legal scrutiny. Margaretha first became widely known through her appearance on 90 Day Fiancé, where she appeared alongside her then-husband, Eric Rosenbrook. Their relationship quickly became one of the most polarizing storylines in the show's history. Viewers watched as the couple's on-screen relationship was marked by intense arguments, financial disputes, and interpersonal conflict. Margaretha's confrontational demeanor and strained interactions with Rosenbrook's family drew widespread criticism and backlash from fans of the series. Even years after her appearance, Margaretha remains one of the most talked about and controversial figures associated with the franchise. Estrangement from Eric Rosenbrook. Since their time on the show, Margaretha and Rosenbrook's relationship has deteriorated further. The two are now estranged. Margaretha previously filed legal paperwork seeking a separation from Rosenbrook, but later asked the court to dismiss the petition. In July 2025, Rosenbrook was arrested following allegations that he slapped Margaretha during an